Hello everyone, my name is Aryan Irani. I am a Google developer expert for Google Workspace. Additionally, I'm a champion innovator for Workspace again. I'm a student. I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's in computers from NMIMS Mumbai. And I hope you had a great day listening to all the amazing sessions on generative AI, Makersuite, Google Bard, Google AI Studio. So what makes my session stand out, or what will you learn different today? Everybody's talked about Makersuite, about large language models, generative AI. My session will focus on adding a little touch of generative AI to your apps. Everybody knows what generative AI is. Everybody knows here what LLMs are. Everybody knows what Makersuite is. But maybe some people might not know how to use those tools, where to use those tools, and how and when and how to use them in short. So about me. So, yep, this is all. So the overview today, we'll have a short introduction once again on Gen AI. We'll look at Google AI Studio, formerly known as Makersuite. So I think Google knew I was going to be talking here on 16th. I prepared my slides on 10 December, and 13 December, Google goes ahead and changes all logos, all colors, all products related to Makersuite. So extra work for me. After that, we'll be taking a look at prompt testing in Google AI Studio. Now, what is prompt testing? Now, before you use your prompts and your Gen AI models in production, you need to test whether your prompts are working, whether they give you an exact answer, whether they're accurate, or do they have a good precision value. So that's what we will be taking a look at in the prompt testing section, where we'll be testing our prompts on Google AI Studio. After which, we'll be talking about the Gemini API, and after that, we'll be looking at Gemini API and Google Apps Script. Now in the crowd, how many people know what Google Apps Script is? Anybody? None? Few? Okay, so Google Apps Script is a cloud-based JavaScript language that is used to interact with Google Workspace tools like Google Sheets, Google Forms. So you can use Google Apps Script to automate things in your apps. You can automate emails, you can automate PDF generations, and there's a vast opportunities of things you can do with Google Apps Script. So that's where, once we test our prompt on Google AI Studio, I want to actually take that prompt, put it into production inside of my Google Apps Script app, and test whether my prompt works well or no. Now, everybody knows what Gen AI is, so I'm not going to go through too much of it, but it refers to the development of machines capable of creating original content. The applications are endless. It could include music, you could have art generation, you could have text generation, and much more. And it involves learning from data, it understands patterns, and then generates original content, right? Working of generative AI, I think I have summed this up in a very small way, but this will give you a better understanding. It works by learning from a large data set. Now, what would this data set be? It could be text, it could be images, it could be audio, it could be anything that you want. It learns from patterns and relationships, and we'll be understanding in the next slide what is this patterns, what is this association that it is doing. And in the end, it can be used to generate new content. Now, large language models are AI systems capable of understanding and generating human-like language, just the same thing that has been presented the whole day. And they utilize massive amounts of data and complex machine learning algorithms. Now, this is where I would like to talk more about LLMs. How do LLMs learn? They learn by association, trial and error, and imitation. Let's take an example of this dog. Now, if I have a cocaine-sniffing dog for the airports, how would I train him? It's a funny example, but it explains the example. So if I have a cocaine sniffing dog at the airport, I need to teach it what does cocaine look like, what does it smell like, and when you smell it, what do you do? So there's an association that's being made between the final action and what triggers its motive or its action. So that's where you learn with association, and if it does a mistake, maybe it doesn't do what you tell it to do. So you can either hit it or you can do. So that's trial and error, you teach it, and that's how you teach the dog. More the exposure to data, the more they learn. Different scenarios, different situations will make the LLM learn more. It will be able to do more things, and it can imitate the text they are given as a prompt. Now, if you see while you submit your prompts in Google Bard, it first talks about the prompt. It explains, this is what you want. OK, all right, now I'll move to the next one. So it imitates, it makes associations and relations between the prompt that you make in the slide. And as it learns, it gets better at generating human-written text. Roses are red. So now, just that we talked about, it finishes sentences, it completes it for you. So whenever I put the sentence, roses are red, just like this in my Google Bard, it gives me violets are blue, sugar is sweet. So it understands, it already knows that this exists, this cliche sentence exists, roses are red, violets are blue, and XYZ. So that's how it answers it for me. Now, applications of LLMs are endless. Virtual assistants. Virtual assistants are a very cool example of how LLMs are used. Like for myself, I use a Google Home at home, so I can tell it, okay, Google, do this, okay, Google, do that. You have Alexas and much more. Then you have chatbots. There are multiple chatbots. One is the Snapchat AI that I stumbled upon. I hadn't used Snapchat for a while, and when I stumbled upon it, I saw the AI bot that is there, and it was very good. I could send it photos. If I would send a snap to my friend, I would send it to Snapchat AI, and it would tell me exactly what's happening in the photo. That's what we'll be looking at in the further examples, where we'll be using Google AI Studio to achieve that. Generative text, there are endless examples. Personalization and recommendations. Now, where could this be? This could be in your Netflix. It gives you recommendations based on what you like, so it does associations between it. If you watch a lot of comedy, it will give you some comedy, maybe, and it will give you a little extra element of surprise that could be dark comedy or different forms of it. Now, Google AI Studio. What is Google AI Studio? Formerly known as Makersuite. It is a collection of tools that allow users and people to access the power of the Palm API, which is now known as the Gemini API. But for this presentation and the demo today, I'll be using the Palm API only. So, and there are multiple features that Google AI Studio has. You have text prompts, you have data prompts, and you have chat prompts. Text prompts are just free-from prompts that are now, the text prompt also is being called free-from prompts right now. So that allows you to put in some text and get a reply back in the text format. In the data prompt, you give it large data sets, and it understands an input and an output. Then you give it an input to test whether your LLM or that particular data prompt works well. So you give it an input, and it gives you an output based on the previous data that you have talked about. And you have the ability to tune models. This is an example. This is just the Google AI Studio. And now we'll be taking a look at the demo. Before that, we'll just look at the different types of prompts that we just discussed. You have free-from prompts. You have creativity. You have creativity for all levels. You can generate poems. You can tell it to write stories. You can make it do anything you want. Whereas data prompts, they are precisely controlled AI data prompts, where it learns from data, it understands, and the entire prompt is example-driven. You have to give it an example. You have to do an association. If this is the input, this is the output. You have to give different versions of it so that it can, whenever you give a surprise question to it, it should be able to answer it. And chat prompt, you can design interactive chatbots on your own without code. So this, basically, Google AI Studio allows people who are low-code people and no-code people to build LLMs, or you can build prompts, you can use them, and then you can integrate them into your actual products that you are building. So for the Google AI Studio demo, I have 2 and 1 surprise that I have to give you. That is going to be focusing upon the Google Vision Pro that deals with images, and we'll take a look at the examples. So I'm going to be starting out with what the Google AI Studio looks like. So when you type in, currently they haven't changed the URL yet, so it's still going to be makersuite.google.com/app/library. And inside that, you have your library of different chat prompts that you create. I can see living room decoration, grammar corrector, this, that. After that, you can get an API key here if you want to code. So this is going to be for low-code people. The Google AI Studio is for no-code people, just like Google App Sheet and different app development things. So here, you can make an API key copy. You can generate an API key. You take that, and you start coding, and then you can integrate Palm API and the Gemini API wherever you want. So let's take a look at the first example. I'm going to be focusing upon the data prompt here. So as I told you, data prompts are example-driven prompts. So you have to give it examples, and then you make it understand what it has to do. So here you can see I have the original sentence. So I had built this for one of my cousins who just started schooling, so he wanted to learn something faster. And he had his English language papers and stuff. So then I just built this where he enters a sentence. So I have given him a data set, an example data, that you have a very wrong sentence there, and then I give him an original sentence that is the fixed grammar. So now, I have given it around 20 examples. If you have to fine-tune this, you have to give about 50 to 500 examples to fine-tune it and make it extremely precise and perfect. So let's divide this screen. On the left side, that is this side, you have your You have just a catalog of things that you can do. On the right side, you have the run settings, the model that you want to use. Now, whenever you're dealing with text, you go for Gemini Pro. When you're dealing with images, you go for Gemini Pro Vision. And then below that, if you can see, what are these two things? These are my fine-tuned models, which we won't be talking about right now. After that, you can look at the temperature, if you want how accurate, how precise you want it to be. Do you want it to be a vague answer? Do you want it to be an exact answer? Exact answers are not possible, of course, but you can have it close to the right answer. So now that I give multiple 20 sentences of incorrect grammar and the fixed grammar, when I give it an input, that is the data, I went to store yesterday. So, right, the sentence is wrong, it sounds weird. Why not just go ahead and run this? Oops. In a few seconds, it should give me, what is it? I went to the store today. So this is how. I haven't coded anything. I haven't taught it, fix the grammar for me, do this for me, do that for me. I have just given it examples that this is my input, this is my output. When I give you something like this, I want you to do something like this. Now, what if you want the code for it? You want to integrate it in your products, show it off to your friends. Oh, I really coded this. Go to the top right, you get the get code. You get it in different ones. You have in JavaScript, Python, Android. If you want to integrate it into your app, you can use it here. So this is one of the examples that are there. Now, recently, at my previous internship, I built a product for hotels. They wanted to accept reviews in a Google form, and they wanted to send back an email to the customer that, thank you for your review. But that lacked personalization. That did not give them an exact answer as to what was the review given by the customer. Was it good? Was it bad? The hotel wasn't understanding what the review is. They were just sending an automated generated email saying thank you for your response. Even if the customer said, I hated your hotel, I hated this was the food was bad, I did not like this. So that's where Google AI Studio comes in. I have given it an example saying, here is a hotel review, ITC Windsor, a luxury collection. I just gave it a random review that I found on the internet, and I designed a prompt here. So this is where prompt testing comes in. I'm going to be building this same thing in Google Apps Script, where I'm going to be coding it using the Palm or the Gemini API, and I have tested this prompt. I spent about an hour designing an exact prompt to tell me, identify the items that the reviewer liked and did not like, and please categorize them in different lists, nicely formatted as a table shown below. So I've given it a table here, positive, negative, item 1, item 2. Now here, I haven't taught it what reviews look like, what do they do, how to do. Let's just go ahead and run it. Now in a few seconds, it has given me positive, negative. It has given me what was good, what was bad, and it has divided it automatically. Now you want to integrate this. I want to take this to an upper level, and I want to integrate it into my software or already pre-existing softwares or workflows that I have. You can fetch it through the get code, or we will be doing what I do is using Google Apps Script. But before that, we have one last example for the Google AI Studio. That's going to be living room decoration. So recently, I had refurbishment, reconstruction of my house. And my father told me, we have the living room. I want to design the living room. I want some cool pieces on the wall. Now, I'm not an artist. I don't have a thing. So I would just search for things my mom would like, and I would put them into Google AI Studio. And I'll tell him, this is my living room. Would this look good on the wall, or would the other one look on the wall? And now, how are we achieving this is going to be through Google Pro Vision. If I run it, okay, you got an answer. The first one would look good, would look better in your living room. The second one is too busy and doesn't match the style of the first room. So this is how we have used the Vision Pro, Gemini Pro Vision model to actually understand images, look at it, and give me which one would look better on which image. So I have given it 3 images in the input, and it has given me an answer out here. So now that we're done for the Makersuite demo, that is Google AI Studio demo, let's move forward. So now Gemini API, formerly known as Palm API. So Gemini API is a key component of Makersuite or Google AI Studio. It allows developers like us, like you and me, to integrate the Gemini multimodal functionality inside of your tools. Now, developers can use this API to build workflows, they can do this, and they can increase the experience at the end of the users. If you add a chatbot to your app to ask about the products that you have listed on the website, it would be more interesting, and it increases the experience of the user instead of searching for it. And Gemini API provides a large number of features and capabilities for developers to upscale their products. Now, one thing that I've learned the hard way is treat your API key like a password. I was recording a few videos for Palm API where I forgot to blur it out while editing, and the API key was all over the internet. And then I had to face some issues here and there. So treat your API key like your password. Keep it to yourself. No need to tell anybody what your API key is. Now, this is what, as we had seen previously, this is where you can fetch your API keys. And these will be connected to a Google Cloud project created in your console. And yep, this is the API key. Now, this is a workflow that I built once I got to know, oh, Makersuite exists. Oh, I can add personalization in emails. So what I did is, you have a customer filling out a Google Form submission. He sends the form. The form will obviously contain the responses. Those will be transferred to a database. That would be a Google Sheet in this case. And using Google Apps Script, that is the cloud-based JavaScript language, I can send prompts to my API on Google Cloud. Since Gemini API is on Google Cloud right now, we don't need to create a project, add the API, and do it. This is directly using REST APIs that you would know. So I send a post request, and I would say, classify the reviews, tell me what it is, and in response, I'll get a classification response test back into my Google Sheet. So that is what we are trying to achieve here. So I'll walk through the code once, and it is, how many of you have used JavaScript? Anybody has coded in JavaScript? Okay, a fair number of hands. Good. So this is just JavaScript in a different syntax, in a different style of writing. So I have used an on-form submit. So I want this code to run whenever a form submission is done. So there is no manual work. That's where Google Apps Script automates every process that you have inside the Google Workspace ecosystem. I have my API key. Once again, I made a mistake, but it's fine. I'll delete the API key once I'm done. Whenever you're interacting with REST APIs, you have an endpoint, you have an API key, and you give a final URL where you put your bearer and authentication key and all that. So that's where we do the URL. We give the headers, that is the application.json. I want to send my API request in JSON. That's how it's sent. And if you see, this prompt is the same one that was on Google AI Studio. So I first tested my prompt to see how it works, whether it's efficient, whether it gives me what I actually want. And yes, it does. And that's how I've used this prompt here. After that, I just create a request body that contains my prompt. After that, we have options for the API call. The method is post. I have my headers, and the payload is going to be, we're going to stringify. That is, we're going to be converting the request body, that is a prompt, into JSON. And after that, all I do is, this is low code once again. This is a low code department. So you don't need to be very good at programming, but at the same time, you should understand how a language works, variables, this, that. So I give a URL fetch. I put the URL. I put my options in the post request. I parse it. I parse the request. That means once I get the response back, it's not going to be in a paragraph that I would want. So I would have to parse it. And even if you use Google Bard or ChatGPT, you get different versions of an answer whenever you give. Even if I open Google Bard, it gives me view other drafts. But I only want the first answer out of it, so I do dot candidates, bracket 0. That would give me the first one. I'm accessing an array of answers here. So I'm going to be fetching the 0. And then I'm just going to log, that is print in Python, or in JavaScript, it's logger.log or console.log. So now that we have understood the code, let's see it in action. This is the Google Sheet that contains all the, the reviews. And to access the Google Apps Script editor from your Google Sheet, you go to extensions, you go to Apps Script. And it's that easy. So now that we have everything ready, I'm going to go submit another response. I'm going to give it a name, say, Raj Shah. Okay. And I'm going to select a review out of all the hotel reviews that I searched for Bangalore while I was coming in here. I looked at all the reviews. So I'm going to say, let's say, this one. I take it here. I put it 2. I give a describe your experience, and I click on submit. We have sent the response. If you look at the flowchart that we had looked before, first the form is submitted, then it goes to the Google Sheet, then the request is sent to your API. So if I go back to my Google Apps script code and I go to my executions, I should be able to see it's 503, correct? So that's our execution. And here you can see what the customer liked and what did he dislike. Now you can scale this up. You can take it another level. You could add some more Google Apps script automation. You could take these reviews and send it to your hotel manager to make him aware that, oh, you are lacking in this space. Please fix this. So this is how we used the Palm API or Gemini API with Google AI Studio. We first tested our prompt on Google AI Studio to see whether it gives me an exact answer, whether it's precise, whether it's good or bad. After that, I take that prompt, I put it into my actual production where I'm going to be using it. And that's all I have for you guys. This is my QR code. If you want to contact me, I have my Instagram, my website, my LinkedIn, everywhere here. Thank you for being such a good audience. Thank you.
Check.
If you have any questions, we still have 2 minutes.
Oh, that was quick. Thank you so much, Aryan. And we do have time for questions, so anybody wants to know something about how to use all of these tools that you just saw, please feel free. We can take some questions right now. Anyone has any questions? Or it's just been that you've seen everything today? Now all of you are Gen AI experts. Everyone's the Gemini. All right?
All right, thank you so much, guys.
If that's the case, then thank you so much, Aryan. Thank you for that excellent demo as well. Good to see everything in action. Nothing failed.
Yeah.
Everything worked.
Thank you.
You did not have the curse of the live demo, as I call it. Yep.